just read that truncated script that was sent?
Sure, I've
And
got
then
that.
we're all set.
You're all set with YouTube.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kyle. Welcome to the December 15th, 2020 Planning Board Visioning Workshop. My name is Joanne Crowley, and I am the chair of the Yarmouth Planning Board. And I'd like to begin by taking a vote for a quorum to establish quorum for this official meeting. Brad Goodwin?
Present.
Liz Hartsgrove?
Present.
Susan Britta?
Present.
Tom Barron?
Present.
Will Rubenstein?
Present.
Chris Vincent?
Chris indicated he will not be able to make it today.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And Joanne Crowley, present. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, the December 15th, 2020 Planning Board Visioning Workshop is being conducted via remote participation, and no in-person attendance will be permitted. This visioning workshop is held via Zoom meeting platform. For pre-registered participants, unregistered participants may view this meeting while in progress through the live feed on the Town of Yarmouth YouTube channel. The meeting will also be posted on the YouTube channel for future viewing. An explanation of how remote participation will work for those of us who are pre-registered will be explained in our initial presentation this afternoon, as well as how we'll be organized into various breakout groups. And with that, I'd like to officially bring the meeting to order. Today, again, I want to thank all of you. I think we have upwards of 40 or so participants who've registered today. I see some familiar faces. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. This is our third and first session of workshops. We've engaged with over 100 members of our town community, both business and residents and part-time residents as well, through this process. And we're going to walk through a presentation today on how this session will work, and then we'll close with some next steps and how this process will continue into 2021. But first, I'd like to do some introductions. If I could have the first slide. Kathy, I'm not sure who's screen sharing here. This is series number 1, workshop number 3. The planning board members who are here today, I'd like each of them to introduce themselves. Each of you will have a chance to introduce yourselves as part of your breakouts. So we do want to hear from you, but in the interest of time, we're going to reserve those individual introductions to the breakout sessions. But first, let's start with who we are, the planning board, and I'd like to start with our vice chair, Liz Hartsgrove.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Liz Hartsgrove. As Joanne mentioned, I'm the vice chair of the planning board. I've been a member for over a year. However, I was a former employee of the town of Yarmouth. I am a resident in Yarmouthport, and I look forward to meeting you guys and working with you today. So welcome.
Thank you. Tom Barron is our clerk. Tom?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a retired engineer. Been living here in town for about 7 years, but have had property here for over 50. Glad to be on the board and very enthusiastic, very much enthused about this whole visioning project. We're getting good information, and again, welcome to everyone here.
Thank you, Tom. And Brad, our long-term member of the planning board and former chairman, who's been through this process a couple of times. Brad?
Yeah, I had hair when it first started, so it's been a while. Brad Goodwin, planning board member since '94, West Yarmouth. I'm glad you're all here today on a cool and not yet snowy afternoon.
Thank you, Brad. Will Rubenstein?
Hi, everybody. Glad you're here. I'm Will Rubenstein. I joined the planning board in July. 2020. My wife and I are the co-owners of Camp Wingate Kirkland in Yarmouth Port. We live here as well. And I'm excited to hear your ideas and put them in the big pot and see what kind of lovely, warm, delicious stew we get to make. And that is the end of my metaphor.
Thank you, Will. And Susan Britta.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Britta. Like Brad, I live in West Yarmouth. I'm the newest member, I think, of the planning board. I served with the zoning board for several years and then ultimately moved over to planning. Like my other co-members, we are all really enthused with the participation we're getting from everyone in the town, and I look forward to a very fruitful final session.
Thank you, Susan. And my name is Joanne Crowley. I live in South Yarmouth, Bass River Way. Some of you I've met and I know from various capacities. I've lived in town for about 20 years, and this is my 5th year on the planning board and first year as the chair. And with that, I'd like to also introduce the members of our staff and our consultants who are here. Kathy Williams is our town planner. She is joining us today and is really the key staff person on this effort and has done a yeoman's effort in putting all of this work together. None of this could really happen without Kathy's direction and guidance and work. She's really done a terrific job. Here, Brad, I agree. Karen Green, I don't know if Karen is joining us today. Karen is the Director of Community Development and Economic Development in town, also a major player in this effort. And Kyle Pendicini works in our Economic Development Department, and he is helping us with all of the technological aspects of our Zoom meeting today. So thank you, Kyle, for keeping us on the straight and narrow here today. We also have our consultants here today from Horsley Witten, who have also played a key part. They are the duty experts in this particular field. They've helped various other towns through this process, and we're happy to have them on our team. We have Krista Moravec and Nate Kelly with us today as well, and they will be in breakout sessions. So some of you may have an opportunity to meet and share some time with them. And with that, I'd like to turn over the overview to Kathy Williams to describe what this process is. I think most of you have probably read up on what we're going to try to accomplish today. I hope you have. We also provided background information on various, we call data sheets on open space, local economy, our community services, climate resiliency, the economy, housing, water resources. All of those big name topics are what we want to try to engage some discussion today on a topic in a topical way. But first, Kathy Williams is going to take some time to run us through the next how the process works, and then we'll break into our breakout rooms, and the discussions will begin. And we hope to be able to wrap this up within 80 or 90 minutes. So with that, Kathy, if you wouldn't mind taking it on the road.
Thank you, Joanne. And I really appreciate everyone taking time to attend yet another Zoom meeting. I'm sure we're all a little zoomed out. But today we're really hoping to get your thoughts and ideas on what you want Yarmouth to be like in the future, to get a better understanding of what you value, what you think we need to improve on, and really what your vision is for the best version of Yarmouth. But as Joanne was mentioning, before we started to take a look at the future, we thought we'd kind of take a look at where we are right now to give people a better understanding of what's going on in our community. And we had developed a bunch of different summary data sheets on all of those different topics Joanne mentioned. And these are not meant to be any deep dives into any particular topic, but just try to identify some notable trends, identify some existing programs that we have going on, and also let people know what we have in the works, what's actually actively going on in our community. And there's could be things like our municipal wastewater initiative to address our water quality and nitrogen loading. The police have a community relations team that they're starting to build to foster and maintain relationships with diverse communities. We're also looking at our libraries. We're extending the Cape Cod Rail Trail. We also have numerous Mass DOT projects that are happening in our community. One of them will be a new Bass River Bridge across the Bass River, as well as improvements to the Four Corners there, and a resurfing and sidewalk project from the Parkers River Bridge to the town of Barnstable. These are all things that are underway that are really going to shape how Yarmouth functions and how we look in the future. So they're very important to get a general idea of what's going on in town. But the planning board can't really do this alone. We need your input. We need your ideas and thoughts throughout this entire process. The board has developed a fairly detailed public engagement plan trying to get the word out, and hopefully you all have been helping us spread the word as well. But the main hub for this is the Community Visioning website. And also on that, you can sign up for updates, direct updates via your email, so you can stay in tune with the latest and greatest throughout this entire process. So what is the goal of this process? We're looking for your feedback to help create a vision statement and ultimately a vision plan to express our town's core values, our viewpoints. What are the guiding principles that we want to move forward with? These can be a lot of different viewpoints. They can be related to environmental resources, creating a diverse economy, sustainability, a wide variety of topics. The vision plan will then provide valuable guidance to our decision makers, our town leaders, who will be making decisions in the future. And will also help us with the development of our local comprehensive plan, which basically serves as our community's master plan that identifies specific goals, implementation strategies, and timelines to get us there. So the vision plan identifies where we want to go, and the local comprehensive plan tells us how we're going to get there. But right now we're in our public input and comment collection phase. So next slide, please. So what are we going to be doing with all of this information that we collect? A lot of the questions that we're going to be asking you today are open-ended, so there's going to be a lot of data and ideas in order to analyze and try and glean some main topics or themes that would be used to develop that draft vision statement. And then once that's developed, we're going to have a whole nother public engagement process in the spring to vet that more thoroughly before we go in the fall of 2021 with a draft vision plan for public feedback. I'll now hand over the presentation to Krista Moravec from Horsley Witten.
Thank you, Kathy. So as the chair mentioned, so today's discussion is going to happen in small groups, and we're going to do that virtually. You don't have to do anything. As you join the meeting today, you are randomly assigned into a group. And when you move into that group, everything will look exactly the same. You'll be able to mute and unmute yourself, share your video, and in each room, you will have a facilitator as well as a note taker, and they'll walk you through our exercise today. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on three primary questions. And so the first is, what are Yarmouth's strengths and assets? So we want you to think about places, programs, events, traditions that really contribute to the quality of life in Yarmouth. So what's something good that's happening in town that's having a big impact on the greatest number of residents? Our second question is, what are the town's weaknesses and challenges? So consider economic, environmental, or social conditions. So how do these aspects impact quality of life in town? Are these impacts town-wide, or are they just impacting a particular area of town or a particular group of people? And finally, so what is your vision for Yarmouth? So what are your hopes for future generations that are going to live here, that are going to work here? Do opportunities exist today to help make that vision happen? Are there some barriers that would have to be overcome? And, you know, thinking about your vision, does it build on the strengths of the town that you talked about in your group? Does it help overcome some of the challenges that you identified? So your facilitator will help you walk through these three pretty heavy questions. So obviously you can have a couple of tools. So the first is your voice. So having small groups will allow us to have a conversation and allow you to contribute. There are also worksheets that you may have received. If you didn't, you can also just take notes on a sheet of paper. Because we're not going to be together for very long this afternoon, writing down your ideas and sending them to the town would be a great opportunity to sort of provide more detail or more opportunity to expand on your ideas. and we'll provide information on how to get those back to us. We do have a few ground rules. So the first is to be kind and respectful for one another in your group. Be concise. Again, we don't have a lot of time this afternoon, but that's okay. Please use your worksheets, which you can continue to work on after we end today if you come up with more ideas. Be patient with technology. Once we figure something out, there's always a new feature that they throw in. We will do our best to troubleshoot if you are having difficulty. Be open to new ideas. We all have different perspectives, so here's an opportunity, and we hope that you have your aha moment this afternoon. And finally, no side conversations, please, in the chat. Like at a table, if you are having a side conversation, it can be very distracting. So few simple ground rules. And with that, Kyle is going to magically move us into our breakout groups. And if you have any questions, please ask your facilitator when you get into your group. So if you see join, please click join.
Ms. Lewis, are you having trouble getting into your breakout room? If you're talking, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
I had to get out to take a phone call and I don't know how to get back in.
Okay. I think there should be an invite somewhere that says click to join. If not, I'll try to.
I guess I thought they were getting ready to end anyway, but maybe I'm wrong.
All right, I might have to move you to a separate one then, if that's okay.
Well, why don't I just, I'm going to be in and out, unfortunately, because I've
Okay.
got that I got to deal with. So maybe I'll just stay here and wait till we get back into the.
Okay, up to you. That sounds fun.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, everyone. We're all back in the main room. I hope you had some good conversations in your group and heard some new ideas. What I thought we could do is I'm gonna call on each facilitator and just ask them to give us a snapshot of what they talked about, if it was some common themes that came up, or if they had a vision that sort of resonated with everyone in their group. So I'm going to start with our chair, if you wanted to start us off, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Krista. Our group was a relatively small group, but pretty vocal. And I'll just run through a couple of the highlights on some of the Yarmouth strengths that were identified, and some of the areas we need some improvement, and then some really, I think, some pretty good ideas on topics that should be included in our vision. The headlines. All of our community festivals and parades and special events, many of which are unique to Yarmouth, like the St. Patrick's Day Parade, were highlighted as real pluses for the town. Our beaches, our waterways, our recreation areas, our open space, many of the cranberry bogs that are open to us, our senior center, in particular, and all the services that are provided there. Particular emphasis in our group on Yarmouth Port and Route 6A at Captain's Mile, and the beauty of it and the importance historically of it, and yet the attention that it needs in the future, with some issues with sidewalks and crosswalks and just the general appearance of it vis-a-vis the other segments of Route 6A. When you travel into Barnstable Village, and the way it looks there and the way it looks in Yarmouth, and how we can move to improve that. Our location, good old Exit 8, puts us right smack in the middle of the Cape, which many thought was important. Our golf courses are some of the best on the Cape. And of course, a common theme again were our emergency services, fire, police, and our EMTs were on the list, as well as generally the pandemic response by the town was considered really notable. Some of the areas where we need to pay a little bit more attention to, again, the Route 6A, Captain's Mile, Yarmouth Port section of that beautiful historic area. The sight lines are difficult, the crosswalks and curb cuts and the like. We had in our group Amanda Lima, who is our town engineer, which was helpful because there's a lot of work that's being done, preliminary work on improving 6A, and she was able to chime in on that. So it was great to have the town engineer as part of our group. The broadband internet access, being Comcast only, was an issue. When we can get fiber optic networking throughout the town. Townwide sewers, we need our improvement in our wastewater treatment. And in general, just the outward face of the town, not only just among town employees, but anyone who works or lives here. First impressions are important, and we want to try to be as welcoming a town, both as town employees and as residents as we can. So those were some of the issues. One other important one is housing, workforce housing, not necessarily affordable with a capital A, but affordable with a small a, to be able to provide affordable workforce housing. We need some improvements there. And then with regard to some visions, again, focusing on, we had a fairly good participation with regard to 6A in Yarmouth Port. how we can make it more attractive, how we can make it more walkable, how we can make it safer, so that the vision would be a Route 6A Captain's Mile that is beautiful, safe, speed zones are enforced and the like, and that we cherish the historic nature of that Captain's Mile. We also would want Yarmouth to be a place that everyone would want to visit, to grow up and retire here, and that it would never snow. It would never snow in Yarmouth. That was very important, and that we would be a welcoming community with accessibility for all, accessibility in particular for disabled, along any of our walkways and streets through 28. So those were some of the main highlights from our participants. Some emphasis again on the town being family friendly, children oriented, and that we preserve our great outdoors.
Thank you so much. That's really great. I really enjoyed that. I'll move on to our Vice Chair, Liz Hartsgrove. Liz, please.
Thank you. Group 2, yeah, we had 5 people, and you know, a lot of what Joanne just mentioned was also mentioned in our group. I think the overall consensus, what I heard, was that what Yarmouth does consistently is inconsistency. Is that we do really well with affordable housing, but we don't do it across the board. We only have 5%. We need to do 10%. We have some sidewalks, but then we don't have other sidewalks where they need to be. We are good at some handicapped accessible locations, but then other locations don't have it. And so there's a lot of inconsistency even with town services. Some selectmen are available, some aren't. So there needs to be a little bit more consistency, and the same thing with our village centers. Some center locations are clearly defined, and then there's others that aren't. So I think the overall consensus of our vision, what I heard for our visioning, which was an interesting, what Chris had mentioned, that he doesn't want Yarmouth to be a place that becomes a drive-through. That, but we're on the right path of getting there. So, so that was one of the things, and it's similar to environmental services, wastewater. The consistency in our behavior is that we're inconsistent, again, with wastewater, where it came up year after year after year, but we just can't get over the threshold. And the same thing, even with this visioning process, which Brad Goodwin even mentioned, is that this is the 3rd time and we just can't get there. So yeah, so that was our summary in it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. And since you mentioned him, I will move on to ask Brad to report out for his group.
Oh, okay. We had 6 people, a good cross mix of people. This is the first time that Route 6A has really shown across the 3 video Zoom meetings, at least to me, and I'm hearing that both from Liz and from Joanne. So we were heavy on 6A safety, nip bottles up at Gray's Beach. We were heavy on 6A. The other thing, 2 things that came out that I thought were unique, I hadn't heard before. The Yarmouth is right in the middle of the Cape with access off exit 7 and 8. We also have water access on on 3 of the 4 sides, Bass River plus the 2 saltwater. So that was unique. Never heard that before. Police and fire were applauded, as were the festivals and community outreach things. Where we stumbled: litter, noise pollution, honky tonk Route 28. Again, lack of safety on 6A. And some tension was mentioned between DY, over DY, between Dennis and Yarmouth, and maybe some kind of uncolorful statements by maybe members of the select board. Possible areas, golden wand areas where we can get better. community sustainability for affordability for both our seniors and families moving to Yarmouth, being known as a better arts community than sometimes we're not, having some pop-up galleries, things of that ilk, community gardens, update and upgrade our business corridor, maybe doing some kind of fund to help local businesses make a foothold on Route 28.
Great, thank you so much. So next I have Tom Barron. Did you want to report out for your group? Oh, Tom, you're on mute.
I got it.
Perfect.
Yeah, group 4, we had 5 folks. And for the assets and strengths, pretty much has been already stated, but cultural center, library, the parks, the parades, to a lesser extent, golf courses were added. The strengths are there, but then moving into the challenges for the second question, those are also the same areas where a lot of the strength areas are underutilized and underutilized basically, and each one of the areas could be improved each by themselves, and that would help the overall community. In the long-term future vision, we had one comment which sums it all: pretend land. We need to pretend. We need to get ahead of our better selves and look forward. And one of the key areas there was that the main barrier to the future is money, is the idea of financing all of our ideas, and trying to make it good investment for the future. We need to attract, we need to have better attraction of the tourist population, not just a place to stay. We need other events and other venues. There needs to be more of a town investment of facilities and services, both for the town's residents as well as our tourist population. And something that's come up in previous workshops is the idea of a rec center and more town-centered facilities. So that sums it up pretty much for number 4.
Thank you so much, Tom. So next group was Susan Britta. So common themes and or a shared vision that you had.
Susan, you're on mute.
Okay, I just saw a little sign to unmute me. Large group, 8, 8 of us, some unbelievably great ideas, observations. We had some new citizens, people that have been here a long time, new people, part-time people. I'll quickly go over many of the things that have already been said, but I'll go over them again. Strengths, a terrific environment, including beaches, open space, bike trails, golf courses. Major strength, the quality of our volunteers in the town. Strength, but it's a cutting edge strength, our location. But it also brings with it a weakness, because we have yet to define ourselves as a what kind of a town are we? Even though we're centrally located, we don't have an identity. We need to work on that. Another strength, we have a very low tax rate, double-edged sword. What do we need to do to ensure that tax rate stays low to attract people to our town? That was linked directly to the quality development along Route 28 to make sure that the type of development that occurs produces the tax revenue that leads to all of the things that make our town great. Multi-generational center, I think Pat Armstrong said, don't call it a senior center, because she said anyone over 60 won't go there. They don't think they're seniors, so she said, call it multi-generational. But again, including a pool, library services, senior services, maybe some healthcare services in this multi-generational center. A terrific conversation about the governance of Yarmouth. An observation by one of the participants that he thinks the governance is a weakness. This issue of, he thinks the town meeting is antiquated. The Board of Selectmen should have a lot more authority. The planning, for example, the planning board should be able to make zoning recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, and they should be able to approve them without taking things to town hall. He thought the system was antiquated. Second participant said a weakness, too few registered voters. We need to do something to get more registered voters and get people more engaged, not only in the big decisions like wastewater, but even the smaller ones. We even talked about inducements, like maybe giving them $25 off on their tax bill if you register to vote, or charging them more if they don't register to vote. Weakness, it's mentioned previously, seasonal housing, lack of it. Big problem, and it's not just a problem here in Yarmouth. It's a Cape Cod. It's a Cape-wide problem, and maybe we should be looking at a Cape-wide solution as opposed to each town doing it individually. Maybe there is some sort of Cape-wide solution that we should be looking at. As far as a vision go, the overall discussion on 28. 28 was, I don't even think we mentioned 6A. There was a lot of focus on 28. Nothing you all haven't heard before, it's sort of dismal looking, needs to be done over. No one likes to drive along it, but it provides huge opportunity now with the wastewater program, pipeline coming down. Great opportunity for development, and the town has to be really vigilant in ensuring that what happens on 28 provides the taxes, provides the tax base that ultimately will set the vision for Yarmouth in the future. Overall statement about vision, we want a beautiful Main Street, and a town that is populated with engaged citizens who vote. That was it.
So much. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Susan. And our last group was my group with Will Rubenstein. So Will, do you want to give us a recap after you unmute yourself?
How's that? Is that better? Okay, group 6, best group. Not going to give you the whole list because I'm the only thing standing in the way of you and finishing this meeting. But the big topic we spoke about was identity, was the idea that our town's identity, if and when we can create it, will influence many things, including the environment, our cultural offerings, the idea of a town center, as well as economic resiliency. And we had a wide-ranging conversation that involved lots of the topics that have already been mentioned, but it was a really interesting discussion with people who've been here a short time, a long time, and I appreciate all of it. And thank you to Group 6, Center of Yarmouth for life.
Thank you, Will. And with that, I can turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Krista. I appreciate that. I wonder if you could screen share for just a second, Krista, the next steps, so we can walk through this quickly. I mentioned this to my own group, and I'm sure your facilitators did the same. Please continue to think about these topics. This process is ongoing. This is not a one-off. We will be continuing to collect data in various ways, and we want for you to submit your own worksheets from today, and as you continue to develop them via email or mail, or drop off at the blue box at Town Hall. The survey is going to be the primary data source. This came up in my group. These face-to-face interactions are important to be able to be able to talk and have an interchange with fellow townspeople. But the visioning survey, which is now available in Portuguese and Spanish, will be ever more important so that we have as good a mix as possible of all of the people of Yarmouth and all of their voices. So I would encourage everyone who's participated today. We would like to ask you to be our ambassadors in terms of encouraging those that you know and places where you work perhaps, or community groups that you participate in, to complete the survey and get us their best thoughts. And again, that would be through the town website, which has the headline banner for community visioning. And we would really appreciate that. And then our next steps, we are collecting all of this information that we've had through these 3 workshops to make sure we've captured all the best thinking of the people who have participated, and collecting the data from surveys that have already been submitted by others to prepare a draft of a vision statement, and then run through a second series of workshops to review that. So this is an iterative process, and come spring of next year, we'll be back out on the road again with some requests for engagement and involvement by members of our community. Before we end today, I just really want to thank all of you for taking the time. This is a busy season. This is holiday season. This is pandemic COVID-19 disruption. Everyone has at least 2 balls in the air, it seems, at one time. If it's not children, it's work or volunteering for something like this to help the town. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate your time. And we will be back in touch with you as to how we continue with this process and what our findings are so far. So you should expect a note from me on where we wind up, not only today, but with kind of the compendium of all of our comments from these 3 workshops. And I want to wish you all a really happy holiday, and thanks again for all of your help today. Your voices are really important to us, and we look forward to further engagement with you. We are now going to continue our planning board meeting because we have one other item of business related to these workshops. Any and all of you are invited to join us. Stay on the line, but we have a little bit of business to conduct before we adjourn the meeting. But again, I wanted to thank you all for your participation today. And I would ask that all of the planning board members please stay on the line. Thank you. Okay, so we got everybody. I think, Kathy, we've got everyone here.
Yep, we're good.
Good.
I think we got
Okay.
everyone.
The one item of business. Yes, Tom. Tom, you're on mute.
Unmute, Tom.
Evelyn Beal has been raising her hand to say something.
Evelyn, you're on mute.
How do I leave this meeting?
Evelyn, down in the right-hand corner, there should be a red button that says leave.
Oh, okay, mine's up in the left hand. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for leadership today.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
You must have the Australian version of the app, Joanne.
I guess, yeah.
Where it's-
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. So we have just one follow-up that I didn't think it was necessary for us to regroup tomorrow when we can cover it today in 5 minutes. I think, or less. First of all, thanks again for taking your time. All of us are busy as well, and we are volunteers. And I thank all of you for your time today and the work that we're doing. Each one of these for me, I'll just say briefly, each one of these workshops seems to be getting better. Either we're getting better at it, or I'm not sure, but they've all been really good. I've enjoyed, and I found them to be very productive. So that was first thing. I just get a quick feedback from each of you on your assessment so far, because we will be having another round of these, and we want to make sure that we have any refinements that we think might be appropriate. Is that one of the things we're going to cover, right, Kath? And then next steps.
Yeah, I was going to emphasizing just kind of where we stand with regard to, we only have 90 surveys done, and maybe we got 90 participants in this in the workshops. So we put a lot of effort into publicity, and we really haven't gotten the numbers that I was hoping to do. So, I mean, I had gone, I had done the code red. We have a police message board. We had a sandwich board at the transfer station. I had a whole nother blast with the boards, civic associations and neighborhoods. We sent out something else in the constant contact, updated the website. So we've been doing a lot of stuff. So I guess I was concentrating on what we might want to do for more publicity and how we can try and get more people involved. So that's kind of what I was emphasizing on, Joanne.
Well, you and I had talked about perhaps paid advertising.
Yeah, I think one of the first things we should do is extend the survey through the end of January. It was going to go through the 15th, but I think we should do that. I think we should also, the newspaper hasn't been the greatest, in all honesty. I think Christine Legere really wouldn't pick up and do a feature article for us, and then she left. So now I have to grub around and see who is the new person from the Cape Cod Times who's been directed to do Yarmouth and Dennis. There haven't been a ton of articles in the paper recently about us. To see if we can't get either in the newspaper or even on the radio some type of interview or stories pushing the survey and what we're trying to do here. Maybe purchasing an ad. They did do that for the recent DHY forum, and they probably got like 60 participants there. And Joanne, we had talked about maybe you doing another letter to the editor emphasizing the survey. I don't know if Susan had a comment.
The only thing I was going to add, is there any possibility we could actually have paper copies of the survey at Town Hall? So
They're already here.
Are they already there?
Yep.
Are they at that table at the top of the stairs?
They are.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there, I guess we missed the water bill mail out. Sometimes I was thinking we could put a flyer in the stuff we mail out, but that's already gone, right, Kathy?
Well, we had originally done that. The thing is to get all 3 quarters of the town. It takes 3 months to get through a full set of flyers for everybody, because they do each quadrant on a monthly basis.
Right.
So we did get that word out that we were doing a visioning. But I think the code red, I'd like to think that got an enormous amount of people, but didn't result necessarily in too many people signing up. I'd like to do another code red maybe after the holidays. And I think that's why extending it is good. Of just saying, don't miss out on your opportunity. Don't let 200 people decide.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes, Chris.
You're excluding a lot of 9-to-5ers, right? Because they can't stop work to participate here.
Yeah, we had 3 different surveys or 3 different workshops at 3 different times. We had one at 5:30, we had one at 9 o'clock, and we had one at 2 p.m. But I think all the questions being asked on the survey are the same questions that are being asked here at the workshop. I think the nice thing about the workshop is you get that interaction. You get to delve in a little bit more with the questions. So it is very, very beneficial. But I'm hoping just because of the time intensity of doing workshops that more people will be doing answering the survey. So I don't know if you can help us get the word out about the survey. That would be much, much appreciated.
I'll send
Yes, Tom.
The ad in the newspaper was a very small ad giving the announcement of the visioning. And it was buried in the middle of the paper, so it was not very effective.
Kathy, just a question on registrants for other public meetings. A Board of Selectmen meeting. People register, not register, but they have to, in order to participate or to join in on the Zoom meeting, they need to be invited or they can just log in.
Oh, no, they have an agenda that has the link on it and they could just go right in. It
Okay.
wasn't restricted in any way.
And we don't know who they are.
I might be able to look, I got to find out which of our Zoom licenses it was on, but I can do I do a report out for each of our workshops to identify who signed up and then who actually participated. So
Right.
we typically have 7 or 8 more people register than actually attend, but I can look and see what that is.
But my question is, do other public meetings of town boards like Selectmen, Conservation, ZBA, do we have access to other emails of people who in town who are paying attention to other public meetings? And is that a source of information that we could use to send out emails?
That's an interesting question. I think most of the people who go to a specific meet, like Conservation Commission, it's because they have an application on there, and they're not really signing up, or they're not giving out their email address. They just have to get in there in order to be able to access the meeting to do their application. I send out notices to all the different committees and boards to the staff people, and they submit it. So the members themselves get it, but I don't know. The only thing I might be able to do is ask people to make an announcement at their meetings. And also, I don't know, one of the things I had is I don't know whether we also wanted to get something in the Board of Selectmen packet. Maybe we provide them with a brief update early to kind of get before, I don't know if we can get before the board, before the survey ends, just to kind of say this is at least something in their packet so that people who are going to those meetings, or maybe one of you could go at the very beginning of a meeting and make an announcement at the beginning. I think that would be helpful during the 15 minutes of public comment, saying, just so you remember, the planning board is working on this visioning project. We really need you to participate and in the survey and give some information that way.
Susan?
Joanne, is there any follow-up with the people that have participated in these 3 sessions? Do they get like a pro forma thank you or something like that?
They get it from me, yes.
Okay.
They do.
Is there any way, this might be a little too late, we should have thought of this at the very beginning of the session. Is there any way in your thank you note you could say to the participants, would you please speak about this visioning center to at least one of your neighbors? Or pass this information on to someone that you think might be interested? I realize we're only going to capture this last group, but that might be worthwhile asking them, because I think everyone seemed to have a very positive experience. Have them say, would you please, or if you wouldn't mind, if you're comfortable, would you please pass on to at least one of your neighbors the opportunity to participate in the next go round? That might help at least.
I will do that. I will do that. Absolutely. That's a good suggestion.
We can also emphasize that in the, I think, to be honest with you, I think probably 95% of the people who attended a workshop probably signed up for the constant contact.
Right.
So we can let them know through that.
Yeah, ask them to forward the link to at least one person. Something like that.
Is this chain mail?
I just had a comment about the other committees. For example, zoning or conservation or any of the other committees. The people who are going to be interested in those committees are the committee members and the particular topic that they may be considering. And so you don't get a wide spectrum of the rest of the town unless people are interested in those particular topics. So it helps to be able to have notice of the visioning project, but I don't know if there are that many that are going to be able to get the message through that method.
Liz?
Thank you. There are distribution email lists that every committee or every department has of their own. So like the recreation department has their own distribution list that they could, when they send out information regarding things that are important to the community that they reach out to and serve, that they can send that out. Same thing with the transfer station, same thing with shellfish license holders, same thing with licensed businesses and people that, businesses that have food service permits and things like that, that Kathy can send a blast out and ask for any department and employee to send out to their established distribution list already. The same thing with press releases and other things like that. And I think that, Kathy, the selectmen's meeting's tonight, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Is anybody available to go before and ask Mark Forrest to be the first on public comment to talk at least about the 3 visioning?
It's on Zoom, so it's easier.
Yeah.
Can you actually attend in person, Kathy?
No, it's on,
I didn't think
it's on
so.
Zoom.
So it's got to be by Zoom, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Is anybody available?
Well, I can reach out to Mark and see if I can talk to him this afternoon.
I mean, we just,
Has it been closed to public?
no, there's public comment at the beginning of each selectmen's meeting. So I think that's where we seize the opportunity. We ask Mark to be heard first, considered first. And so that way you can get, that we get above all of the other items that
Yeah, Liz,
generally,
I know we can offer public comment, but I thought the selectman is available if you want to go and see them in person.
It
I don't
says
thi-
it's being remote today.
It's
Today
all
it says
remote?
this is a remote
Sorry.
participation
Sorry.
meeting.
Sorry.
And I think it was results of some of the changes. And I think we're now officially code red. I hate not code red.
if
but-
I'm happy to do it. The meeting's at what, 7 or 6, Kathy?
It's at 6. Let
Okay,
me
I'm
double
happy
check.
I'm happy to do it. And
Okay.
give a recap of the 3 workshops that we held and, you know, the times, all of that, the days of the week, the variety that we offered, and also then offering that we're extending the survey to, let's say, January. What do you want? Like, we have to decide on a date, like right after New Year's, January 2nd or 3rd type of thing.
I'm
I-
sorry.
I think you said January 15th. The survey
We're going to
would continue.
extend it through the 31st of January.
31st.
Oh, the 31st.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the emphasis is that, you know, we had a great 3 workshops. We didn't get quite as many people as we wanted, but we'd really like to push the survey, which are asking the same questions. You're only
Yeah, I
going to
think
get 3 minutes or whatever they give you.
I can advertise that it's now time for survey entries instead of, and that will, you know, the way that probably, Kathy, if we do it now and then we hit again after the holidays or before New Year's, and then right after New Year's, you do your resolutions and you ask, what are Yarmouth's resolutions for the future? And so it's a way of marketing and grabbing people's attention. So that's the way that I would do it. And,
Okay.
but
Sounds good. If you're willing to go, you can go tonight.
at 6 o'clock, I will text.
It'll
Yes,
just be
I
a
will.
couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. I think that would be helpful. And you just, I would work it as try to get to the front of the queue there. I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
Mark.
Raise your hand
would-
immediately upon entry.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark would be able to accommodate you there. But going back to the other comment about
Joanne, can I
town
just-
has got a ton of emails of a lot of different people from a lot of different sources. Is there some way for us to get our hand, like when you sign up to do the swim class and recreation?
When you
Is there a
get
way
a
that
new,
we?
well, a lot of people sign up for Notify Me through the town website. And when you get out a blast, I don't know if you ever see those town news items. Those go out to a ton of people, not necessarily people who have even signed up just for something related to us. But anytime a news item goes on the website, it blasts out a news item. I think we just got one today also with regard to the weather that's coming.
Okay, and that is an email blast.
Yes, that goes to, I'm not even sure how many people, but anybody I believe who signed up on the town website through a notify me for something gets
For
that.
anything,
I think
anytime
so.
okay, so we capture that. Have we done that?
Oh
for
yeah,
this?
we've done it multiple times. Yeah,
Using the blast?
using the blast,
Okay.
the news item.
Okay.
If you guys aren't getting them, then tell me, because it hasn't been done recently because it's the same information has been on there and it's been near the top. I think we're ready now to just do another one that kind of emphasizes, the completion of the workshops, and we're moving on to surveys and extension, and we can get that information out. I just don't know how much to do. Before the holidays, or whether we should be hitting it harder after the holidays.
Yeah, I think holidays are going to be a bit crowded. But each of us had, as we were developing these engagement lists, had kind of identified some areas we would help out on in terms of the Afro-American community, the school community, the Portuguese community, the Brazilian community. So for each of us who has identified some key players there, I would ask you to double back with those contacts that you've made with various pastors of churches, PTO groups, other community groups that you might be involved in, and reset an engagement with them, and be a bit more aggressive in trying to get, if we get the multiplier effect going here, it could be helpful. So, I guess we all have to step up, and I mean, if each of us got 10 new people, that's 70 new people. If each of us got 20 people, that's 140 people. So I think I'd like to put it back on us a little bit to reach out to as diverse a community as you can tap. Susan, did you have your hand raised there? I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter now, so
Oh,
forget it.
okay. What else, Kat, did we want to make sure we touched on? That's the most important thing, I
the
guess.
publicity and trying to get more people to take the survey now that we've completed the workshops. And we've always been mentioning the survey, but I think the emphasis really has been on the workshops, because we wanted to get people to attend.
Yeah. Any chance that you could reach out to the for the town of Brewster, who's done one, and I believe the town of Bourne is doing one now. Maybe best practices, or what, did they run into this little bit of a roadblock, and how did they address, kind of aggressively getting out there to a sample size that seems reasonable? I mean, that's our issue here, is our sample size is pretty small. Right. Yes, Susan.
Joanne, do we have an idea of how large a sample we want? Do we want 10% of the 5%? Something like that?
That's a good question.
We are woefully short.
Yeah. Did we have a target, Kathy, that we thought might be representative?
I think, obviously 10% would be, to be honest with you, astounding for the town of Yarmouth. I don't think we've ever gotten anybody to respond to like a survey or workshop of that number of people. 5% is like 1,200. My concern is that if we get 500, maybe 600 people responding to the survey, I think I'd be very, very happy. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. It's COVID. And then there's also a certain amount, in all honesty, of apathy. Mm-hmm. Or people are like, you know what, I have my thing I'm concentrating on wastewater, and that's what they're putting their efforts on. Or I'm concentrating on the libraries, and that's where I'm going, not necessarily having the time or wanting to take the time to do it. It's a tough thing to do. And I understand. I know that when you get home at the end of the day, I think everyone is just wiped out.
Right. Also, I think the word vision alone You're right. You come home from work, you're tired, you see the word vision, and you immediately say, oh God, I have to think now.
Right.
I'm not going to do it tonight.
Yeah, right.
I think there was some vision fatigue, quite frankly. Also, you're right. It's a tough time of year to be doing this kind of thing and expect a robust response. Maybe if we had had a different title or something like that, but vision.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, you come home tonight, you sort of go over your emails if there was a catchy title or you're entitled to a tax break. And then in small letters say, if you take the survey or something like that. I think people were it just said, oh, that's a word that requires me to sit and think a little. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just too tired, So we can keep at it. I agree with you. I think 1,200 would be awesome if we could get 1,200 responses.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free if you got some ideas, just, send it to me.
Well, I'll send it out. I'll send my email group out again and tell them they'll never get another email from me again unless at least 10% of them send in.
There you go.
You're not giving discounts at Macy's for anyone who fills out the survey?
That's automatic. That's automatic. That's automatic.
Kathy,
Yes, Tom.
the different neighborhood groups, have you tried to reach out to them?
Oh yeah. We have a large group. Susan gave me some good email addresses for some of the other ones. I had slightly different ones, so it's good to know the latest up-to-date people. But yeah, we do. We have a ton of them now. We've been sending them out, and sometimes you hear back from them saying, yeah, I'll send it to my group, and lots of times you don't. But then any inquiries I've made, they're like, oh yeah, we sent it out. So, and who knows if it goes into people's spam or trash. I originally had it, don't want to send it from the visioning website because that might be something weird. So I send it from my email, and hopefully.
Okay.
Kathy, how many town employees do we have? Do you think?
Oh, I don't know, hundreds.
Hundreds,
I
right?
send it to town employees and division and department heads and all of that.
Because they are workers.
Yep. That's how you got
They may not live here.
that's how you got some of the people who came today, Roby
Yeah.
and Amanda and some other people who've been signing.
Yeah,
They
and
got it that way.
Yeah, and Amanda was there primarily, I think, from what she had indicated was to answer any questions that might come up. But I also engaged her as a worker, an employee, someone doesn't live here, but so if there's a population of town employees out there that we need to kind of encourage to fill it out, that could be another 50 or 60 or 100.
I think of the fire department, the police department. If you can't tell me that they don't have an investment of their voice to be heard, I will not believe anything, because seriously, this determines where money's going, investments for the future, everything. So school departments, if these people are smart, they will make sure that they put in for the survey. So you might not actually want me to be there tonight at the selectmen. I'm hot to go after people, but come on, this is not, we're asking for 5 minutes of their life to tell us what they want for tomorrow. So come on.
Well, Liz is right. But also fire and police are busy with their jobs. If they don't participate in one of these sessions, at least the surveys, the worksheets, all of that. Put their ideas down on paper. One way or another, yes, we need to get their input.
Susan?
I think Liz just made a great comment about, maybe the headline for the survey should be, where do you want your money to go? And, take the survey and indicate where you want your money to go. That might be something that would be a little more eye-catching, to catch their attention than just a vision.
Show me the money.
That's what I was gonna say. Show me the Benjamin.
Yeah. or follow the money or something like that. But money captivates everyone. And that Liz's phrase, where do you want your money to go? Or show me the money or follow the money might be a great headline or great segue into advertising the survey. And Joanne, the other comment I wanted to make as we move forward is the fear of getting repetitive. I think certainly the third group I had today, virtually everything we talked about, with the exception of the Board of Selectmen having more authority, has been mentioned before. The good news is people are all focused on the same thing. So that was a, you know, everyone seems to be gravitating toward the same 5 or 6 big issues. But as we move toward the spring and more workshops, you know, my question would be, what else is out there? You know, show me the money. You know, why are we going to have these others if they're nothing but a repetition of the ones we had this fall?
No, they're not though. They're
getting repetitive.
but they're not though. I mean, what we're going to be doing in the spring is different than what we're doing now. We're taking all.
People don't know that. How do we explain the differentness? What's going to be different?
I think that in part of the presentation is that we're taking all of the information that we get here to glean main themes and ideas. You may say that there may be some things where people are talking about, you know, wanting to improve Route 28. I think that's listed there. But there might have been some reasons or some areas to concentrate on within that. That we would then, so we'd have that as the main goal as part of the vision statement, but part of the vision plan, you get those, and then you kind of identify, do you think we should be looking at this? Do you think we should be changing zoning and making it more lenient? You know, and that's a different type of survey altogether. And that gets back to more of a fill in the box survey.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so it's very
Chair,
different.
I apologize. I'm at 2 hours and 29 minutes and I can't do anymore.
That's reasonable, Will.
I apologize. I've been
okay.
trying. I got life happening, and I don't know if there's something else that you had on the agenda.
No, this was it. No, we can bring this to a close. I would encourage all of you to.
I don't want it to come to a close. I'm just saying that
He just wants to go.
have to attend the meeting, and I don't have a choice. So
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
No need to apologize.
It's a good ending point, Will.
It is. Liz is going to be our champion and talk at town meeting at Board of Selectmen tonight. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate that. But each of us should think about this some more and get with Kathy with ideas on the banner headline. I like that. We can still call it visioning underneath it. Chart our course, you know, navigate the future. But where do you want to spend your money? That's a headline grabber. So I encourage each of you to get back with Kathy. We don't meet again until January 6th. So we have a little bit of time between now and then. And I would encourage all of us to try to do that. Yes, Tom.
I just had a question on the surveys. Who's pulling the information together on the surveys? Is that Horsley Witten or is?
Yeah, Horsley Witten.
All right. Okay. So we'll have that at the end of January.
We'll have, yeah. Well, we'll have it at the end of January, not for our January 6th meeting.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
They need to process it all too.
Yeah. So I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Tom Barron.
Aye.
Susan Britta.
Aye.
Liz Hartsgrove.
Aye.
Will Rubenstein.
Aye.
Joanne Crowley. Aye. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we probably won't see each other. So happy holidays.
Happy
Hanukkah,
everything.
Christmas, all
All
that
of
good
them.
stuff.
Happy Hanukkah. Happy.
And Kathy,
everything.
I just wanted to say one more time,
Yes.
thank you for doing the stuff.
Yeah.
And Joanne, both of you.
I get paid to do it. You guys volunteer to
It's
do
all
it.
Kathy. It's all Kathy.
We
And
get
Liz,
paid
thank
in
you for jumping
we
on
get
this.
paid in
tonight.
great
Thank you.
vibes.
Oh, there you go. Yes, good feelings and vibes.
Yeah.
We get paid here.
Yeah, I get paid here too because I live in Yarmouth too. I want Yarmouth to be as good as it can be. So, all right, guys.
Great.
See
Go
y'all
eat,
later.
Will.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Madam
so
Chair.
much again, Liz, for taking on this little project tonight.
Thank you, Liz.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.